Hello and welcome back to another episode. In the last one we set up our widget so it came on screen like so. In today's episode we are going to start setting up some of the functionality behind it. So let us work with the actual settings first maybe. Let us see how it goes. Over in our Actionbar settings we are going to go into the graph for a second. Inside of here we are going to add a new variable. I'm going to call it selected action bar. This is going to be of type WBP action bar. Now inside of my HUD, so you want to have that open as well today. Inside of my HUD, when we come to the end here, we have our update AB first. Before this, we're going to update the settings in the action bars to show visually the state that it's in. It'll make sense in a minute. We're going to get our action bar settings. We're going to set selected action bar. So the initial action bar, and that's going to be action bar 1. So let's get our AB1. Actually, not that AB1, sorry. This AB1. The action bar itself. And once that is done, we want to make a new function over on action bar settings. Let us create that. That's going to be called update selected action bar. Now out of update selected action bar, this is going to be a shit show. We're going to get our instance ref, game instance ref from our HUD, and from this we're going to get action bar settings. Now out of action bar settings we're going to do a for each loop with break, and out of the element we're going to make a new should we make this a full variable. This is going to be called our settings to update in AB settings. Yeah, epic name, right? And on the index, we want to break, check if the ID is equal to the ID of the selected action bar, inventory ref, and ID. Going to go into a branch, and if it is true, we're going to break. Into a second branch, same condition, completed like so. Now we're going into a sequence that's going to consist of, I think, like 10 pins. The very first pin is going to set our active bar name text. So we're going to set that text. Let's move it up here. We can also do, I don't know, custom functions to make it better. I don't know. You do what you want to do. I'm just going to make it work here, and I don't mind how it looks. Now you're going to get your settings, and you're going to split that structure pin, and this is where the name comes from. Now on the next one, actually, let us try to make this pretty. So I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to move this over here, like so. And should we make it go around? We can try. In the next one, we want to get our settings once more. We are going to get the AB settings enabled. And that's going to be a then one. If it is not enabled, well, then we're going to check our enable checkbox. So where are you? Enable checkbox. Set checked. Set is checked. So on true, set is checked to be true. And on false, set it to be false, like so. This is just to update it visually for the, well, most of it is to update it visually. Now we're going to update the max slots. So let us get our, here, this one again, and add a new pin. We're going to get our max slots. We're going to get our max slots slider. I'm going to set value. And this value is going to be the max slots. This one goes into then 2. Now after this we want to set the max slots current text. So we do need to make this variable. So current goes variable. And we might need to change the minimums as well, but we are going to add the currents to be variable for now. Compile that, head into your graph again. Now I want to get our max slots current text. and set that text to be that of the same integer, like so. On the next one, this is going to be a shit show, I told you. On the next one, we are going to add a max horizontal slider. There we go, max horizontal slider. Set that value. So then 3, like so. Max horizontal slider, we can grab it from here. Just gonna move it down like so. And then we also need our max hor current text, so set text. Be that of our max horizontal. Save. Now that we have set our max horizontal, we need to set our max vertical. So add a new pin. Get our vert pad slider. Set the value. And we can grab it from here again. So get our vert padding. And set it in like so. Gonna plug in our then pin into the web of shit that we are currently creating. We can actually make that web a little bit better if we move this out a little bit. Because then we can start actually making the lines look a bit prettier. So our vert pad slider, that also means our vert pad current text needs to be set to be the same as the vert pad. Then we need a horizontal pad. So hor pad, where are you? Hor pad slider, hor pad text, set value. Set text. And we're actually going to comment this out in a second. So you can just drag it down like so. Let us just comment this out. So set active bar header text in our settings panel. Sets enabled checkbox for, this is all for the selected bar basically. Sets max slots values. Max hor values. Vert pad values and hor pad values. You know what this means. Now they can drag down a new one of these, and now let's get our horizontal padding here. And after this, we want to get our slot opacity slider. Slot opacity slider, yeah. Set value. And then slot op current text. Set text. We want to set the opacity to be this and the text to be of that as well. Slot opacity. This is only for the visuals, as you can see. This goes into then 6. You can also make this into a giant chain. You do not have to use a sequence like I am currently doing. You could have it just go fucking forever out there. Now we want to get our scale. So let's get our scale current text and our scale slider. Set the value. And then set text. Scale goes into there. And scale goes into there. Scale info. Plug it in to then 7. Looks like a fucking shit show. It is okay though. It should be enough to, easy enough to work with. And at the end, we're actually just gonna set the final one is gonna be in the title section. So let us get this out here, and then Actionbar name. Let's go into a branch. Plug in our final pin. And this is going to be our action name enabled. So if it is enabled, then we want to get our, this is going to be, no, we actually haven't added that yet. Sorry. Let's go into our designer. And in here, after we add our horizontal box 3, so we want to go up to the vertical box that we are adding this into. That would be That's where works one. That's the vertical box. Yes. And here we want to add another horizontal box that is going to the bottom here. Inside of this one, we want to add a checkbox again. This is going to be the hide title bar checkbox, I guess we're going to call it. It's going to start as unchecked. And inside of that, we want to add a text. This text is going to be called our hide title bar text. It is going to be show bar name. So it's actually kind of counterproductive what we are naming it here, but it's going to be called show bar name. Going to change it to regular and change the color a little bit darker, like so it fits the scheme. So it's going to be show bar name. It's going to start off as checked. Inside of this horizontal box, we want to add one more thing. We want to add a text. That's going to be a editable text. This editable text is going to be, well, I'm going to wrap it with a border. Like so. This border, I'm going to make a padding of 2 and all. I'm going to add the brush color down a little bit, like so. This text is going to be my action bar name editable text. And the hint text that it's going to have is going to be action bar name. And we can go to our border for a second and maybe see if we can't. Yeah, let's move it a little bit like that. Then we can also go to our checkbox and fill that and maybe move that over there. Actually, does it look shit? Nah, that looks okay. So now we have these things. Now we can go back to our graph again and do what I was thinking about. We're checking if the action bar name is enabled. If that is, then we're going to have our hide title bar checkbox, set checked state, set checked state. There we go. I'm going to set it to be checked, because it is enabled. Show bar name, yeah. It is a bit weird, our naming conventions at this. Change them however you want, please. We're going to get our selected action bar. We're going to get the action bar name, header name text. We're going to set visibility of that to be visible. And then we're going to set the text of it to be the text that we have over here. So we're just going to move this here and move in the text. If this is false, however, we are basically going to copy this thing, change it to unchecked, and change it to hidden. Action bar name show hide. I don't know. Let's go with that. Again, if we now press play, nothing is actually working. We are gonna set up the very first, which is what we actually have been doing now. And this is going into our HUD. So after we set this to be our selected action bar, the one we want to start at, we want to get our on our action bar settings, we now want to update selected action bar. So this should update with action bar, our first action bar settings. 12.12.00 scale. This does not actually prove anything though, because the settings are like that defaultly for us. So I'm gonna remove my save game, and I'm gonna go into, I've removed my save game, and I'm gonna go into my save game object here where we have our defaults. So I'm gonna go into 0. This is my bar 1, and I'm gonna change max slots to be 7 and some vert pads values to be something. And now let us just see if it's working. Now we have our max slots are set to 7, our paddings are set to everything. Still nothing is working, but we have it set up and ready to go. I'm gonna move back these settings though, so the max slots and everything is fine. I'm not going to have any padding. 12 slots and no padding there either. So yeah, that is it for that. In the next one, we are probably going to handle the dragging of the action bars around and maybe see how far we can get with everything else as well. Okay, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like in the video, something, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.